I'm Tim Kittro, and here to bring home the bacon are Big Ryan the Fat Guy.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Dylan Toddfield, cue the music, we get it. What's up, YouTube? It's the NFL Week 4 Picks Against the Spread video for the 2020 NFL season. The Fat Guy and I are 20 and 28 for the season, good for 41.7%, not our best start. On to Week 4, Fat Guy.
Really?
Let's start off with Thursday night. Denver Broncos travel to New York to take on the Jets, who are 3-point underdogs at home. Only 25% of early bettors are on the Jets, but almost every dollar bet has been put on the Jets. Fat Guy, who you got?
Who's doing this? Every dollar bet is put on the Jets?
95% of the money is on the Jets to start off this
well,
week.
Okay, let's unpack is a popular word these days, and I'm going to use it. Let's unpack this market. Let's think of the people that are putting money on the New York Jets right now. It's not the public. Let's be realistic here. 25% makes sense. There's probably a few people that got Denver, I believe, at -2.5. So there might have been perhaps a small fraction of early sharp money, very small, and some public dollars where people are maybe in the more amateurish section. But 95% of the money on the Jets, it's either a whale or what I think. I think it's sharp money. And, I mean, is money sharp if it's put on the New York Jets? Now, that's a philosophical question, and I'm going to answer it, even though it's supposed to be hypothetical, or I don't even know what the other term is. I like the New York Jets. Back-to-back pick of the week, Jets +3. Book it. I'm not impressed with them. I don't think they're good. One good thing is we're playing a backup quarterback. Maybe the Jets defense can have some semblance of a performance, and the team as a whole. Hopefully, no more ghost. Jets +3.
Next up, let's move on to the Sunday early games, where we'll start off with the Cleveland Browns traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 4.5-point favorites at home. 88% of early bettors are on the Cowboys. 90% of dollars are on Cowboys. Fat Guy, who you got?
Well, again, I'm trying to read into the market a bit more because I think I've made some mistakes early in this season, and I think that's been reflected in my record. Not that I think that the sharps are actually making a killing in the NFL, but I think this is the turnaround week. This is strong, and I'll be taking the Dallas Cowboys. I'll be laying the points. Cleveland is managed to get a cover for the first time this year against the Washington football team, or Redskins if you're going by the apparel that I purchased before, we'll call it Black Monday, when they took everything down. That's what I'm going to call it. When all the Redskins merchandise went down, we'll call it Black Monday. That seems fitting, right? So I'm going to be taking the Dallas Cowboys. Laying 4.5 doesn't seem too unreasonable. I think they're better than Cleveland. We've always kind of thought Dallas is one of the best rosters in the NFL, going from a handicap perspective. And I'm not as big a Browns believer, despite being a fan. It's a nice win against Washington. I mean, they're 2-1 too, but it's a very small sample, not that strong of a team. And I think the early sharps do like Big D, despite having I guess we'll call it difficulties lately, because Big D was 99% away from 0-3, correct, Big Rye?
Yep.
Yeah, which this is looking underwhelming, and I think this is a good spot to get them. I like Dallas. I don't mind laying the points.
Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans. The Titans are 2-point underdogs at home. 32% of early bettors are on the Titans. Only 7% of the dollars wagered are on the Titans as well. Fat Guy, who you got?
Well, I got to read stronger into the market, and reading strong into it means taking the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't mind laying the 2 points here. Titans are 3-0 here, Big Rye? They've kind of exceeded expectations. Not exceeded, but they've kept up to expectations, and I think in the eyes of bettors, they're going to be not exactly their record against the ATS, which is disputed because of some line movement in the Denver game, is going to matter as much as their record. 3-0 blasts out loud to them. Whereas the Steelers, they might actually be for real this market, I think, is indicative. Despite having some early season or 1/3 of the action, very little of the money is on the Titans. And I think that's because the early market has been dominated by the Sharps. And why I think that this is the truth is because two is a number where there's going to be a lot of action. I will say this though, if you buy the Steelers at 2, and if it somehow gets to 3.5, the push frequency of the number 3 will outweigh the amount of juice that you'll have to pay. So you'll win both bets more often than you'll win one, lose one. So I like the Steelers. I like them in the contest. I like them as a bet. But this is a potential middling play. We should have. I think we're going to have to put some input music here. When I say middling play, because I'm trying to look for some interesting spots, provide some value for the viewers, and I think this is a potential middling play, assuming it's going to move to that perfect number, which it might not necessarily do. One more thing about this: if you are looking for a middling play, you can't buy Tennessee at plus 3.5 if the juice is minus 125. It's got to be pretty low juice, like minus 110.
All right, Fat Guy. Next up, the New Orleans Saints travel to Detroit to take on the Lions, who are 4.5-point underdogs at home. 45% of early bettors are on the Lions. Who you got?
Well, I mean, we can't always go with him, right? I almost felt like I took a pity pick in picking the Saints last time because I want to upset Dylan Toddfield. And that being said, I'm going to be taking the Detroit Lions, who they beat the Cardinals. It's a weird league, Big Rye. It's a weird league. So, and that, that game kind of goes to prove that anyone can beat anyone. The Cardinals can beat San Francisco, but they can't beat the Lions. This is why you watch NFL football. Parity. That being said, 4.5 points at home, Detroit Lions. Not that home field is too much. Even though the Saints don't exactly look hot, it's kind of a buy low almost for them. I can't justify laying the 4.5. I would have taken the Saints if this was maybe 3. 3.5 and above, I like the Lions. Anything below, I like the Saints. I'm not in love with this pick though, Big Rye. It's not one of the stronger ones of the week. I'll take the Lions and I'll take the points, but it might be just a sprinkle in real life.
Next up, the Minnesota Vikings travel to Houston to take on the Texans. The Texans are 4-point favorites at home. 75% of early bettors are on the Texans. Fat Guy, who you got?
Doesn't this seem a little bit weird? 4 points, favorites? The Houston Texans?
I knew it blew me away when I saw it. I was not expecting 4-point favorites for the Texans here.
And during our live stream, which we do Sundays and Mondays, and the occasional Thursday, not yet, unfortunately, one of our key viewers, Mickey Hill, who is doing decently in the contest and is also in number 1 in fantasy for the Big Ryan the Fat Guy Chasing Daniels League. He agrees with us. 4 points, I think, is too many. Minnesota's looked bad. Are they bad? Possibly. There are a lot of injuries at cornerback. I think this is possible to be almost a get-right game. I think 4 points is too many. I really think this line is a hard 3. I'll make it a hard 3, 2.5. 4 is too many. I think there's a little bit of meat on the bone for Minnesota, and so I like the Minnesota Vikings, and I want to take the 4 points.
All right, Fat Guy. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts travel to Chicago to take on the Bears. The Bears are 2.5-point underdogs at home. 47% of early bettors are on the Bears. 40% of early dollars are on the Bears. Who you got?
This isn't a home run for me, but I'm going to lay the points with Indianapolis. Bears are catching a lot of heat, and I think there's some disrespect has been thrown around. I have disrespected them because I don't actually like them that much, but they did get better over the weekend, Big Rye. Did you notice that? They did get better. And that was when they put Nick Foles, who I do believe is a stronger play, perhaps even 10% better at quarterback. So I like Nick Foles. I like the Bears, but not enough to take them this week, unfortunately. I think the Bears got better. I think you're probably the weakest 3-0 team. And let's see if the Colts are able to ride a win streak, laying 2.5 points. I mean, they did what they needed to do. If you're a good team or perceived to be a good team, blowing up the Jets should be in the wheelhouse, and they were able to do it. I think the Bears are going to be an interesting challenge. We'll see how that offensive line and one of the league's best defensive lines match up with each other. I think this is more of a contest pick, less of a value pick from a betting perspective. Not that I dislike the Colts, but it's only really worth a sprinkle, more of a contest pick. But I think this is a good, interesting game for true football fans because you're going to see strong coaching performances, I feel, in this one. Not that I'm a Nagy fan. Give me the Colts, and I'll lay the 2.5 points.
Next up, the LA Chargers travel to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 7.5-point favorites at home. 76% of early bettors are on the Bucs. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, I think there is significant value on this game at this number with good juice. People think I'm hating on the Bucs. I still believe they're overvalued. This is a big one. I like the Chargers, and I actually like them for a sprinkle on the money line, believe it or not. Of course, I'm betting on a very unproven, I guess you could say, but he looked great. Looked great in his first start, Justin Herbert. 7.5 points is a big number. Don't forget, this is one of the league's best secondaries. So I'm adding a little handicapping perspective here, and I think Tom could find some trouble with we'll call it a banged up Tampa Bay Tampa Bay skill position in the wide receiver grouping. And Mike Evans hasn't quite had the season he'd like to, despite having, I believe, two touchdowns, but not very low on the yardage scale. I like the Chargers significantly here. But the problem is, though, is you can't get too crazy because rookie quarterbacks when their errors are big and often. So if things go well and Herbert has some semblance of the performance that he did last week, then I'll really like them. But you're always gambling on a rookie, and that's always tougher. So I'll be putting money on the Chargers. I really like them. But the only thing stopping me from going all the way like a big boy 3 or 4 unit play is because it's a rookie at quarterback. Give me the Chargers. Give me the points.
Yeah, another thing too, 24% of bettors are on the Chargers, but 33% of the dollars are on the Chargers. So for early bets, sharps like the Chargers, and 7.5 points is just too many. Next up, the Baltimore Ravens travel to Washington to take on the football team. The football team is 13.5-point underdogs at home. 30% of early bettors are on the football team. Fat guy, who you got?
Oh, I'm going to be taking the football team, Redskins, what have you. 13.5 points. That's the one thing that's annoying about this. Like it's purely a contest pick from now. But I'll be putting a few bucks on them if I can get 14 or 14.5. The push frequency of 14 is, I think, around like 2%, which is enough for me to like the bet a bit more. 14.5, that's going to add an extra 0.5%. That's enough for me. That's enough. I like the Redskins. I don't like laying points very often. I always say that. This is another one of those spots. Ravens, though, I almost wish that they could have just crushed the Chiefs so I could get that 14.5 opening, I believe. Because I almost think that a type of performance there would move them to the number one tier. Well, they're already in the number one tier. Move them to top of the number one tier if they were able to win this Monday evening. And I think that would give a line that's more favorable to the football team who weren't able to cover against the Cleveland Browns, which that's always a black eye. That's always a black eye. So I'll take the football team, the Redskins, what have you. I'll take the points, but please wait on this line if you do bet it. If you lose, it goes down to 12.5 or 13. It's not the end of the world, but I'd rather gamble on it going up than down. Not that I think it's going to come down. Redskins and the points, but wait on this one if you're gambling, boys and girls.
Next up, the Arizona Cardinals travel to Carolina to take on the Panthers. The Panthers are 4-point underdogs at home. 21% of early bettors are on the Panthers. 77% of the money, though, is on the Panthers. Sharps love them. Fat guy, who you got?
I love them. This one's on par with the Jets. I did say Jets were bet of the week, so it's already locked in. Point in case because I want redemption. This one I'm equally as confident in, actually almost more so in that I think the Panthers are actually decent. Not I think they're underrated, right? They're average to below average is fine. I like top to bottom. They have a more reliable quarterback. I think this coach is going to end up being a decent coach, despite being early in his infancy. And you know what? When you think about it now, now, would you rather a coach who's been betting on a coach who's been historically mediocre or bad, or one that's unknown? Like you'd almost rather the unknown, right? Because the upside's a bit higher. And with Matt Rule, you might just get that. I like the Carolina Panthers here. I think this is a reasonable team. The only thing though is this is kind of a do up, do down situation with the Cardinals. They're losing rather to the Detroit Lions. That's got to hurt their stock a little bit. So they're still riding that hype though. I think that 49ers win put them a longer way. And you know what else helps too? I'm thinking more square terminology. When you have a lot of fantasy relevant players, I think that overrates teams. And it's hard not to say that with the Cardinals. I mean, and the least heralded fantasy player, Andy Isabella, had what do you have, 2 touchdowns, Big Rye?
I believe so.
Yeah, which, I mean, if he's on the map too. And then you have guys like Kenyon Drake, obviously DeAndre Hopkins, the immortal Larry Fitzgerald, Kyler Murray, who's turning out to be a pretty good player, Christian Kirk. Those are all guys that are in the fantasy stratosphere. Even Chase Edmonds is for that matter. Carolina is kind of a workhorse team with CMC, who I don't believe will be playing this game. Yes, their best offensive weapon won't be, but I don't think that hurts win probability-wise as much. You just have to get more creative with the other players that you have. I think they promoted Reggie Bonifon from the practice squad. Of course, I'm going off my head. We do this in one take, so there are malpropriisms. I mean, look at your presidential candidates. They are more than capable of those things, and so am I when you do it in a one take. So I do like the Carolina Panthers. I do like that I get 4 points at home, Not that home field is huge. 4 points in the Panthers. This is a really good opportunity.
Next up, the Jacksonville Jaguars travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The Bengals are 3-point favorites at home. 51% of early bettors are on the Bengals. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, Joe Burrow got his first tie. Very few veterans are able to do that in their first year. Very few. So I'll be taking Burrow. I'll be taking the Bengals, and I'm laying 3 points. What kind of idiot lays 3 points with the Cincinnati Bengals? It's going to be this one. This is really just a contest pick, though. I don't see a whole whack of value. I'll tell you what, this is the funny thing. If it goes down to 2.5 with really good juice, I'll take the Jags. If it goes to 3.5 with really good juice, I'll take the Bengals in real life. As a contest pick, it's a tiny coin flip for me. Maybe 1% in my brain likes the Bengals more. I actually think this is just be an interesting game to watch. I know it's probably the worst game on the schedule for most people, but I don't mind. I don't mind. Give me the Bengals. I'm going to lay the 3 points, and I kind of like Joe Burrow. I don't mind watching him. Bengals -3.
And the last early game, Seattle at Miami. Miami is 6.5-point underdogs at home. 26% of early bettors are on the Dolphins, but 44% of the dollars bet have been bet on the Dolphins. Fat guy, who you got?
In the contest, I'll be taking the Dolphins. I'll make a small play on the Dolphins. However, I need this. I really want 7. Can I get 7, Big Rye? And I want to be greedy and get 7.5. But that's going to move up there. The one thing about this is betting against the Seahawks. It just gets more and more difficult when you watch the performances he had, against Dallas. Dallas was in that game too. I didn't give Dallas the credit for that game during their segment, but I'm going to do it during Seattle's airtime. And they were in that game, and Russell Wilson is just so strong in points where you're like, oh, it's so unlikely they'll try and get a touchdown or get a touchdown, and they're just able to do it. Really good performance from Tyler Lockett. The reason that this isn't a slam dunk for me is because it's just difficult to lay a lot of dollars against people like Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, who are able to crush any spread. Even if you put it at 14, he is one of the few guys that will be able to blow that out of the water. That being said, I still like taking points at home with the Miami Dolphins, who are a team on a rise, right? They've an extra 10 days, an extra 3 days. That should benefit the Dolphins 1%. I would think, Big Rye.
Also,
get a few
Seattle
extra
has to
practices
travel all the way to the East Coast, which has a little bit to do with home field advantage.
It's a bit of a double whammy, right? So this might be one of those situations where it does come into play. So that's why I don't really mind the Dolphins in this instance. So I'm going to take the points here. I'm going to put a little bit of money on it. I'm going to put more money on 7, and I'm going to crank it up just a little bit at 7.5. If it does move in that direction, I'm going to be a little heartbroken if it goes to 6, though. But I've been a little bit unsuccessful in predicting the market so far. Part of that's because a lot of the videos we had to do on Sunday, and I've just had less success, let's say. So we're hoping that this move-in date is going to give me a Big Rye and the Fat Guy the benefit of the doubt. So Dolphins and the points.
Let's move on to the midday games, and we'll start off with the Giants traveling to LA to take on the Rams, who are 13-point favorites at home. 76% of early bettors are on the Rams. Fat Guy, who you got?
Well, I think you guys know where I'm going on this, and that's after I just did a big sigh. The normal heavy breathing thing, that's natural. This was a real sigh. So I'll take the Giants. I'm going to take the points. I don't love it. They're the New York Giants. They're not very good. 13 points is too many. And you guys know my feelings here. I really want 14 is what I want, or 14.5. I want to get some sort of, added push frequency. 13 is not that key of a number. The Rams are starting to get spreads like they did 2 years ago. So that should make people worried. Think about it. If the Rams were in a different division, they might blow it out the water. They're a really good team. I like the Rams. I like them going forward. And I think they're going to be underrated in certain spots. This isn't one of them. I'll take the Giants. I'll take the points. It's mostly a contest pick. And perhaps if the line moves, I might throw a few shekels on it at perhaps 14. And most certainly at 14.5. And I'll consider it now. But if this is the line ending up 10 minutes before game time. All that being said, let's take the Giants, take the points with the contest, and we'll do a wait-and-see approach in real life.
I will say about this line that 99% of the dollars bet have been put on the Rams, so I could see this line getting up to 14, getting up to 14.5. Wait for this game to hit 14, hopefully 14.5 before you put any money down on the Giants. Next up, Fat Guy, the Buffalo Bills travel to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. The Raiders are 3-point underdogs at home. 38% of early bettors are on the Raiders. Only 7% of the money is on the Raiders. So sharps are on the Bills. Fat Guy, who you got?
I don't love it. I mean, the Bills are the hottest team, though, right? In the contest, I'm going to be taking the, not as hot as like the Chicago backups or anything, but former Chicago backups, but and Saints for that matter, and I think KC. Anyways, I'm going to go with the Raiders. I'll take the 3 in the contest. I don't love this. This might be my least favorite pick aside from the next one in this contest. I just think Raiders at home, I'll take the points. Bills are a little hyped right now, but they could be the real deal. Josh Allen has turned in some remarkable performances, especially for fantasy players, noticing that their point totals are above average when he's in the lineup. They do look good. Raiders, 2-1 Raiders. I mean, they lost to the Pats. That doesn't surprise me necessarily, who I think is one of the best teams in the NFL. I do like the Raiders for a contest pick. That would be it. And I'm probably not going to be betting this going forward. Maybe if somehow we get a Raiders positive line movement, I'll consider it, but this is probably a no bet. However, for the contest, I'll take the Raiders and points.
The final midday game is the New England Patriots traveling to Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are 7-point favorites at home. 26% of early bettors are on the Chiefs, but pretty much every dollar bet has been put on the Pats early. Fat Guy, who you got?
I think this is early sharp stuff, but the part that's confusing about that is, wouldn't you want to maybe they did it for this reason. Is perhaps they're trying to get an early good line, like 7's a nice number with the chance at a Chiefs injury, for instance. Because if they got it, this line could have shifted. It could have shifted drastically if the Chiefs were able to get a line, and then Chiefs might only be like, if it's a serious injury like Mahomes, it might be a pick 'em. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
you're kind of free rolling on an injury, and not to mention Mahomes got a little bit banged up, and so did Hill. It feels like during that game, at least that's what it kind of showed on the sideline. So that's my thinking that's what happened. That being said, I think the public money should pour in now, though, on the Chiefs, and that the Sharps, if they did indeed have that in mind, they might have got a bad line here, because I think 7 could go upwards of 7.5, perhaps 8 points, because it's a statement win by the Chiefs on Monday night, Big Rye. I mean, I think they handily beat the Baltimore Ravens. Handily, and that's even though there was that small comeback at 27-20 after the first half, I still think the money should pour in on the Chiefs. But I don't know if the Sharps are going to keep pushing it down when it's at that 7.5, or it's at that like crux point of 7 and bad juice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, I don't know if it's actually going to be able to do that. I'm going to put money on the New England Patriots +7. I'm gonna put a little sprinkle on the money line, but I really want to put more money on it when it gets to 7.5. The push frequency is too high at the number 7 in this game. Give me the Pats. Give me the points. I know that was a lot of complicated stuff.
Moving on to Sunday Night Football, where the Philadelphia Eagles travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. The 49ers are 6.5-point favorites at home. 74% of early bettors are on San Fran, as well as all of the early money. Fat guy, who you got?
This is the one I waffled on with Big Rye for some time, because if I can get the Eagles at 7.5, no problem. Done deal. Sign me up. But this team, the Eagles, someone was bringing this up to me earlier. They haven't performed well since the Super Bowl, realistically, and I believe losing Frank Reich probably had something to do with that. And Carson Wentz seemingly regressing. All of that being said, I feel like maybe they're getting the benefit of the doubt, and I've been a little bit wrong on them, because I've taken the Eagles a few times, a few spots, and not felt remorse. I rarely feel do, but it kind of made me at least ponder over the decision again. And I switched this pick. I switched the last second to San Francisco because you know what I mean. I think the line could move against San Francisco, and there is another chance for a middling play. I'm trying to signal right now with this, so when Big Rye's editing the video, it goes quicker. Just a little tidbit on how we do things in the situation. So there's a lot more signaling and things of that nature. So I think I like San Francisco. I don't mind laying the 6.5. I don't love it. It's mostly a contest pick, but the prospect, even though I don't think it's huge, of getting a middling play is exciting. I think in this one, even though it's even small to have that opportunity, because you need 7.5 with good juice to make it viable. So the pick is San Francisco. I'm laying 6.5 points. Small amount of money in real life. Contest pick. Contest pick. I'm doing it. But this is the one I waffled on, and hopefully in real life we'll be able to get a middling play. Let's lay the points at San Francisco. Oh, and a handicapping thing I forgot to mention. The O-line woes of the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm kind of thinking could come under the microscope against a vicious San Francisco pass rush that is down 2 starters, I will admit, but is of the deepest in the league. So San Francisco laying the points.
And on to Monday Night Football, where the Atlanta Falcons travel to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers. The Packers 7.5-point favorites at home. 59% of early bettors are on the Packers, and 98% of the dollars bet are on the Packers. Fat guy, who you got?
I don't want to curse them, but is this the new Bengals, the Atlanta Falcons? Are they?
As of now, I guess so, but I think there's other teams that are considered worse. Let's say that I think the Jets are the new Bengals.
The one thing about that is last year I at least had optimism on the bad Bengals team. The Jets one, it's like it's hard to get on the microphone and even talk about them.
I just don't think the Jets could get worse. That's the only bright spot, is they can't get worse.
The Falcons, it's like
the Falcons have a lot more potential. There is hope. They have talent.
They have a good quarterback. And you guys can say whatever you want about Matt Ryan. chances are, if you're from a random place, he's better than the guy you have. You know, he puts up some serious yardage. He is a decent player here. They're playing the red hot Green Packers, and I feel like this game is close to a perfect storm with how disappointing the Falcons are. Falcons could be 2-1 though, Big Rye, and they weren't that far away in the Seattle game either. Like there's another parallel universe where we're having this. You and I are having the same discussion, except we have 3 heads each, and we're going to take and the Falcons are 3-0, and the Packers are 0-3 somehow. So I'm going to hope for a parallel universe. I'm going to hope for a Falcons cover, maybe even a win. I'm not going to make that bold of a statement, but I like the Falcons. I really like this number, 7.5. Hopefully you get good juice. Like if you can get -106, home run. Take the Falcons. Take the points. Let's go. It's going to be a fun game to stream. Join us if you'd like.
All right, Fat Guy, on to the lightning round. Let's start off with Thursday Night Football, Broncos at Jets.
We just went over this. I guess. New York Jets. And yes, they're the bet of the week, but I have to give it out this slowly because it's so annoying.
Sunday's early games, Cleveland at Dallas.
Dallas.
Pittsburgh at Tennessee.
Pittsburgh.
New Orleans at the Lions.
The Lions.
Minnesota at Houston.
Minnesota Vikings.
Indy at Chicago.
Indianapolis Colts.
The Chargers Bucks.
Really enjoy this game. Los Angeles Chargers.
Baltimore Washington.
Washington, wait on that line.
Arizona Carolina.
Another game I'm really confident in. Carolina Panthers.
Jacksonville at Cincinnati.
Cincinnati Bengals.
Seahawks at Dolphins.
Miami potentially.
On to the midday games, Giants at Rams.
The New York Giants.
Bills at Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders. I got it right that time.
Pats at Chiefs.
Sneaky contender Pats.
And then Sunday Night Football, Eagles at Niners.
Niners laying the points.
And Monday Night Football, Atlanta at Green Bay.
Can I be confident in the coaching of the Falcons? Well, we're going to find out.
We sure will. Fat Guy, congratulations to the Week 2 winner. This is, no one knows it yet, but this is going to be the most exciting part of the video. Back in Week 2, we put the video out a little bit early, so we weren't sure on the results Monday night. Jeezy, 007, and Billy369, 2 of the regulars on the show, have tied. And they had the same over-under, which is our tiebreaker. So, Fat Guy, you know exactly what that means. That means
spin the wheel.
We're spinning the wheel.
Now, the reason the colors are not by mistake. They're Minnesota Vikings colors. In a few months removed from the 4th year anniversary of the musician Prince's untimely death. You can go ahead, Big Rye. Now, I just want to touch on Prince's influence and perhaps his upbringing. Now, Prince Rogers Nelson was born in Minneapolis.
Just wait.
Minnesota.
Let me give this a quick spin. It's only going to take a second.
Okay.
So what were you saying?
So Prince Rogers Nelson was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota on June 7th, 1958. The son of jazz singer Matty Della, née Shaw, and pianist and songwriter John Lewis Nelson. All 4 of his grandparents hailed from Louisiana. Prince was given his father's stage name, Prince Rogers, which his father used while performing with his mother in a jazz group called the Prince Rogers Trio. It's a little bit cocky, eh?
Yeah, that is.
Well, in 91, Prince's father told a current affair that he named his son Prince because he wanted Prince to do everything I wanted to do, which I imagine he did in his reasonable 57-year life. Now, Prince was not fond of his name, wanted people to call him Skipper, which I can't imagine is better in real life, but it seemed to work out for everybody. But that was a name that stuck with him through childhood. Now, Prince said he was born epileptic and had seizures when he was young. He stated, "My mother told me one day whoa, wait, do we have a winner?
Not yet. We got Jeezy.
Oh, I was just finishing that great Prince story.
Well, it's back to Billy.
I mean, how slow does this go?
It was a quick spin.
Yeah, there was only a few. I wasn't going long with that, was I?
No, I think you covered a lot of good points.
Well, it looks like we got it.
It's still not sure.
No?
There it is. Billy369 with the win. Congratulations to Billy. Unlucky Jeezy. There's always next week, as we like to say. So Billy369 is the winner of the Week 2 t-shirt. We're going to get in contact with you by email and have that shirt out to you shortly.
That was exciting, though. We learned a lot about Prince, and Billy369 won a coin flip.
All right, Fat Guy, the 2020 Week 3 winner is the New York Jets. Will win the Super Bowl for going 12-4, good for 75% against the spread. Congratulations to the big New York Jets Super Bowl fanatic. At 11-5, we had Mad Capper, one of our main fans, Zit Vono, as well as Insert Clever Pun here, who has just skyrocketed at these first 3 weeks. Illest, Kehoalo.
Nice one.
I butchered that. Congratulations to all you guys going 11-5. And then at 10-6, we have Detroit one time, Bears third team offense, center aspirations, strength coach 45, as well as high roller. Congratulations to all of you for having such good weeks, especially New York Jets will win the Super Bowl going 12-4 against the spread. And Fat Guy, let's look at the overall leaderboard where Insert Clever Pun as 34-14 and good for 70.8%. We also have Can't Think of a Name with 31 wins. Show Me Your Touchdowns at 30. Big Rye Stole My Hair and Fat Guy Gave Me COVID at 30 as well. We also have It Hurts When I Fart, Flea Bit, Peanut Monkey, Guns and Arrows, True or Fools, Cassone, as well as Billy369. You have any thoughts on the leaderboard as of now?
Well, they say a millionaire is born every minute, or maybe that's a sucker. Either way, there could potentially a new millionaire, an Insert Clever Pun, with an unbelievable 70% record through 3 weeks. This is the hottest streak we've seen so far.
That's impressive.
In the Big Rye and the Fat Guy contest. I hope you can pick it up. The chances of you doing it throughout the season is about, I think it's 1 in a few million. But I mean, everyone loves a long shot. So I'm rooting for Insert Clever Pun to have a plus 70% record throughout the season.
All right, Fat Guy, on to the JS715 Name of the Week. Honorable mentions. I'll let you take it away.
Saints minus 30. Todd Field still bets them. I mean, he's probably right, you know. Although I will give Dylan some credit. We're going to have to do a lot of that music thing, you know. There's a cue. And he's been a little bit better and a little more realistic. But, I mean, that's still in the wheelhouse of Dylan Toddfield. You know, you never know what DTF is up to. The spread eagle, I mean, it's low-hanging fruit, but why not like it? Now, this is also another Dylan Toddfield reference. Bo climbing to the top more. I mean, it's not that it's clever, but this is a big rival in the comments section that Dylan keeps trolling for fights. And I got to give a little shout-out to the opposing force. Pete Rose's bookie, who wouldn't want to be that guy? And another Dylan fantasy trade who's, wow, it's all Dylan Toddfield, the name section for honorable mentions. And that's in, he's sending ridiculous trades in the BRFG fantasy realm. And apparently it's entertaining, but not realistic.
This is the JS715 Name of the Week. Whoa, kaboom!
But my face shield fogged up. I quite enjoyed that. All of us having a difficult time wearing masks. I also wear glasses. When you wear a mask, it fogs up. And watching, the big red Kool-Aid man getting his face shield fogged up has been interesting to say the least.
Remember, you can make your picks for Week 4 at BigRyanTheFatGuy.com. There is a $100 prize for the most regular season wins. So do your best, participate in the contest, prove us wrong that you can make better picks than us, and good luck to you guys each week. Fat Guy, that's it for us. NFL Week 4 Picks Against the Spread video is in the books. Any closing thoughts on the games?
This is my most confident week. There's been some rough ones, and I don't think this will be it. I think this will be a nice bounce back. Perhaps, if we're lucky enough, we'll get even.
Hell yeah, brother. Good luck for your Week 4 picks, and catch you guys next week.